Hey there, my name is Graham. In this video, I'm going to show you how to export an automation so that it's truly yours and not stuck to the application that you built it with. There's a difference between how you build it and what you're building. And the truth is, you can export the JSON, the blueprint of your automation, to debug it, to add features, or to share it with somebody else. Very quickly, I will show you how it's done, and then I'll show you the 3 use cases that I just mentioned in action. By the end of the video, you're going to be able to download and upload the example that we use today into your own environment. That's the overview. Let's get to it. So when you think about your Make or your Zapier or your n8n workflow, you're dragging and dropping, pointing and clicking, mapping fields. But what you're really doing is building a JSON blueprint behind the scenes. In a way, you're writing code. Here is an example that I built. I selected the modules by hand. I mapped the right fields. I authenticated them with my account. I hand typed this prompt. Here is what we're looking at. Whenever somebody books a meeting on my calendar through my booking link, this webhook fires and it triggers Gemini to research whoever it was that just booked that meeting. The LinkedIn or personal website is a required field so that Gemini has something to go look at. Now, Gemini summarizes their information, summarizes any notes that they included, and maps it to our unique use case and says, this is what you might be talking about. Here are some unique talking points. Here's some questions that you might ask. 2 emails go out after that. First is a casual welcome email to them. Thanks for booking a meeting. The next one is a brief that goes to me. Now, all of those things are things that I configured myself. I already talked about that. But what I want to illustrate here is in the top right-hand corner, you can select Export Blueprint. Now, that downloads to my desktop a JSON file. Now, that JSON file can be used in a few ways. To illustrate that, I am going to open up a new chat with Claude, and I am going to upload the JSON that I just downloaded from that make scenario. I'm going to paste a prompt that simply asks it to describe what it's seeing. And as we will see, Claude can read that blueprint and tell us exactly what's going on without seeing the interface or that visual builder that we are used to seeing. And here at the bottom, here is the flow in one sentence. Somebody books a discovery meeting. Cal.com fires a webhook. Gemini researches the attendee and writes a pre-meeting brief. The attendee gets a welcome email. You get the brief all automatically, arguably described better than what I did earlier. You get the gist. A quick note on platforms. I have mentioned Make and Zapier and n8n. Make and n8n allow you to export the JSON, no problem. The thing about Zapier is that it requires a team plan or a professional plan in order to export the raw JSON. You can share it as a free template if you'd like to share it with somebody else, and it offers a native AI agent that's going to build for you and debug for you, whereas these other tools don't have native AI built in, but they allow you to export the raw JSON. So you're starting to see the trade-offs. Just wanted to make that clear. I think that everybody is going to encounter bugs in their workflows, whether you're a professional or you're just starting out. Whenever I was setting up that workflow we saw, I kept getting a lot of extra text in my email. You can see here at the beginning some interesting syntax, and then the further we go down, the more text we start to see. It goes all the way down. So I didn't know why I was getting this, and it was frustrating because I could have sworn I mapped the right field. That's one example of a bug, but sometimes your workflow doesn't even make it all the way through. It doesn't even fire, and you get Make telling you that something is wrong at this module, but it doesn't always tell you how to fix it. That's when exporting might come in handy. So I'm back in Claude, and I just described that problem I showed you, and we're going to see if it can identify what I know is really the problem. Okay, so it is saying that the bug is found on module 4, my brief email. Your HTML field is set to 8, and that is mapping a variable. I'll show you in just a second. And it is saying that it's dumping the entire output object. So here we are back in Make, and I am going to zoom in on this 4th module as Claude said. And if I look closely, there's a variable here, number 8, which is what was mentioned here. And it says that it is mapping the entire output. And whenever I click in, I can see all the different variables that can be mapped. And I understand that this might be overwhelming if you're not used to Make. But if you'll notice and just think about things in terms of a hierarchy, this is at the very top and it includes everything underneath it, as opposed to some of these individual objects. Here, I'm just selecting them to illustrate that they are individuals. But what it says is that I was mapping the entire array as opposed to one individual object. Now, that is exactly what went wrong, because whenever I was creating this workflow by hand in the very beginning, I didn't have an output from Gemini, and so I didn't have individual objects like we're seeing here, and so I just mapped the parent one, and I forgot to go back and map the individual one. If I save this and rerun I will see an output that looks like this. Super clean, no extra text. And for the sake of illustration, here is the super casual email that I sent my upcoming guest to the meeting instead of just some automated email. Sometimes it's nice to receive a casual personal email instead of something that is the confirmation email from the booking calendar. Now that your automation is working, let's say that you want to add to it. In addition to sending a welcome email upon booking, you might want to send a reminder email on the day of the event. We would do that through, well, before I go, let's export the automation in JSON and see what Claude has to say. Okay, so I just asked Claude, I want to add a day of reminder email to the guest. The email should send a few hours before the meeting, scope out the most efficient way to do this in Make. I could also say, scope out the easiest way, or I'm open to using other platforms, or is there another way that I'm not thinking of? This is the benefit of using an external AI for problem solving or adding new features. So it nailed the current scenario as we saw earlier, and it says that the most efficient approach is to add a schedule delay and email branch. If we had more time, I would add this to our system, but for now, let's move on to the third use case, sharing it with a team member, or anybody really for that matter. One option is to add them to your own account. You might have to toggle permissions, or you might have to deal with the fact that they're going to see all your other scenarios or workflows depending on your platform. The other option is to download the JSON and send it to them. Allow them to upload it to their native environment so that all they have to do is authenticate the modules for their own accounts. What I mean by that is you're not going to give your Gmail credentials to them whenever you send them the JSON. That's not included. In fact, feel free to try it. You can actually download that same workflow that we were just seeing to your own account. New meeting booked, AI summary, send a welcome email to the guest, and send the brief to your email. Again, it won't be authenticated. You're going to have to do that for your accounts, but it's already wired up and configured in your Make account if you were to download and then import it. In Make, all you have to do is start a new scenario, go to the top right-hand corner, and select Import Blueprint. You can choose the file that will be in your Downloads folder, and then it's going to be there ready for you to authenticate. At that same link, you will find an option to import your JSON from a workflow that you've been stuck on. If Claude isn't cutting it for you, feel free to upload it there and we will take a look. We are happy to get back to you and share how we would go about debugging whatever workflow that you are trying to solve. So in this video, we covered how to export your automation and why that matters. Debug it, improve it, or share it with others. If you're already using AI for building and debugging, you should check out our video on vibe code versus no code. In that video, we define both, and then we walk through a middle option that combines the best of both worlds. It's a great video if you're already interested in building with AI. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.